Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment podcast sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet. Live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And on audio via Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Radio Public, and TuneIn. Now, here's your host, Chris Palme.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Season 6, Episode 45, overall 320th episode of Live with CDP Sports Talk, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210, or email them at info@barrycullen.com as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on radio station WQEE 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta, the home of Southern Talk and Sports. Good afternoon, everybody, on this hard to believe Thursday, September 28th. I still don't know what happened to June, July, and August, and now September is pretty well gone, but I'm looking forward to my guest today. This is her second time on my show, and her name is Marissa Lanchak. She's a radio personality and a voiceover coach out of Boston, and she's currently doing 6 cities and 6 radio stations as well, and she's a huge Boston sports fan as well, so we're going to bring on my guest, Marissa.
Hey.
Good afternoon, Marissa. How you doing?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me.
How's things in Boston right now?
Well, that is one thing I will correct real quick, because like I do a lot of stuff in Boston. I'm actually just outside in Albany, New York area. So
okay,
but I was in Boston for 3 years. So I think the last time we talked, I may have still been kind of back and forth there. But the pandemic brought me back this way. So still doing plenty in Boston. I'm on Mix 104.1 there, and get back there multiple times a year. So it's fun.
How's the adjustment being in Albany then?
I mean, this is home. This has always been home. This is where I grew up. So, when COVID hit and lockdown happened and, the world got weird, it was just, I knew I was already in job transformation. So like I was in this process where I was going to be moving to Hartford, Connecticut. And I was still going to be doing a couple different stations part-time in Boston. So I was doing a little traveling. That was the plan for 2020. And then when the pandemic started, I hadn't even signed anything for the full-time opportunity yet. So it was like, all right, well, I don't know when that's going to now start. So I'll go home. I'll go back to Albany, and I'll bring some supplies and stuff to my family. And I'll just stay there for a couple weeks and help out. And a couple weeks turned into a couple months, turned into, well, I can't keep holding on to this apartment in Boston. It's very expensive and I don't have a job. And, it's like, I don't even know where I'm really supposed to be, but I own a house here in Albany. So it's like what made the most sense was eventually my tenant that I had renting my house moved on, and I got back in. And, I kind of thought it was just going to be a temporary situation still, but the opportunities that I had gone away, and it was now going to be a rebuild process. So for me, it's been comfortable being home because it's home. Home has its downfalls. It's like I have a lot of triggers around home, but it's always like still a comforting place to be because my family's here and all my support system. But it's allowed me to have a safe space and the opportunity to rebuild. So that's I think the best thing I can say about being here.
And Albany's not far from New York City, and it's what, maybe 3-4 hours from Boston?
No, it's not even. It's 2. We're like the central point for a lot of places. It's we're kind of right in the middle between New York City, it's about 2.5 hours to New York. It's about 2.5 hours to Boston. I think it's like 3 and change to Philly. So there's some major stuff happening around us, but they call Albany Smallbany for a reason, because it might be the capital, but there's not a whole lot going on around here.
You do have a hockey team, I think American Hockey League team, and also you have a lacrosse team there. And I might even
Yeah.
come down to Albany because the National Lacrosse League, I really got into it. It's a combination of hockey and basketball. So if you ever get a
Yeah.
chance to check out a Firewolves game, I think you would enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone to the hockey team based out of Adirondack. I've gone there, Adirondack
Okay.
Thunder. We did have a football team that was pretty good, and then Antonio Brown got involved, and we went from having a championship season to to being kicked out of the league because of Antonio Brown. So he's a gem.
And I like coming up to Central New York. I've been up through Syracuse. I've been to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. And I
Yeah,
just
that's a
find
lot of fun.
I think it's a beautiful drive. I've even gone on a bus trip through to New York through Syracuse and through everywhere up in that area. I think it's a great area.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, there's definitely a lot of stuff like road trip wise that you can get to from here, and obviously with the fall season, kind of in full swing, and the colors changing on the leaves, and we get a lot of leaf peepers that come through the area. A lot of people love the Lake George area, to go and have some vacationing, especially in the summertime. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff right around here.
And I covered some minor league baseball this year for the Blue Jays farm team in Buffalo. And I think next year I'm going to try to do some games in Rochester and in Syracuse as well. So
Yeah, very good, very good.
definitely I'm getting my opportunities. But Marissa, I wanted to ask you, can you just tell my audience here, actually it's an international show now, but can you just tell them a little bit about yourself quickly and some of the latest news, and now being on the Mix 94.1 FM in Canton, Ohio, and how did that come about?
Like I was saying, I mean, these last couple of years have been a roller coaster ride. So, like, the brief synopsis of me: I've been in radio since 2004. I've done commercial work since then. I've done a little bit of longer form, recording here and there. I've done a couple different podcasts of my own. I do the voice coaching company that I do stuff for as well, where I teach voice acting lessons. I do their podcast as well. It's called Voice Coaches Radio. So I do a lot of different things. And as I was trying to rebuild during the pandemic, I mean, to me, I thought a lot of the radio stuff was going to be out of reach. And I say that simply because, throughout the pandemic, and, when we weren't able to go anywhere, it's like all these businesses stopped advertising. So it was just, radio relies on that. I mean, that's why it's free for everybody to listen to, right? So it's like, the moment that people stopped advertising, radio started cutting jobs, like in herds. It was like thousands of jobs every couple weeks. You would see like this person's let go this one, and it was just like crumbling. And I, as the person who has been doing this my entire adult life, I was just kind of like, oh crap, there goes everything, right? So I was just kind of looking at what else am I passionate about. And I was looking through jobs and opportunities, and like one popped up to teach voice acting lessons, and it was one of those things where I'm like, I mean, I don't consider myself a teacher or a coach, but let's just see what happens. And I did a couple interviews with those guys, and next thing you know, it's like I got hired full time. And the day that I started there, I actually I checked my email on like a lunch break, and it was my boss in Boston who had said, hey, I think your email got reinstated. Can you go ahead and check and see if you can log in? If you can, then you are considered an active employee again, and we can go ahead and start potentially using you. Like, let me just see what we can do. So sure enough, I was able to log in, right? And next thing you know, it's like I start with them, and I'm just going to be, at that point, this was like the beginning of 21, I'm part-time, I'm like their main fill-in, and they're letting me do it from my basement at home. It was like super weird. And next thing I know, it's like a couple other stations came at me a couple months later, and I was like, oh, I don't actually know if I can do stuff for you. Let me double check with Boston. And they were like, well, if it's not in our market, sure, why not? And I was like, oh, wait a minute, I can build on all this. Okay, let's just see where this takes me. And I've really just been, anything that's been put in front of me, anything that's been put in my path, I feel like is there for a reason. So I'm not letting any of that just slip by. There's only been like maybe one opportunity in the last couple of years that I had to say no to, and it was really just because it was in the same market as something else. And I didn't want to, burn one bridge to, create another. That seems silly. So, and that other company was very understanding. So that's always good. And like, there's no bad blood there. You know what I mean? So, leading up to now, I've had a couple things that got a little juggled in the last couple months because I was on a station in Detroit and was on there 7 days a week. It was fantastic. It was a great opportunity. The station was being rebuilt. And then one day the company just decided, you know what, we're going to make a quick buck and we're going to sell it. And all of a sudden it was gone. And it was like, oh crap, now what? And just the way the last couple of years have been, I was like, this is all going to work out. Like, I'm just going to see what happens, and sure enough, here I am just hanging out, and I was getting some additional commercial work. And then all of a sudden I get an email, and it's from Mix 94.1 in Canton. And Joel is an amazing programmer. And I'm very thankful. Like the last couple of years, I've actually done some sporadic fill-ins for them. And, it was just kind of hit and miss here and there. It wasn't a ton of work, but it was anything coming my way. Again, I was like, sure, I'll do it. And, because of that mentality and treating everything like it's a newborn baby, right? You want to give it all the care that you can and make it as localized as possible, even if I'm not, sitting in a studio in Canton, Ohio, knowing what's happening in that city, knowing that they have the Football Hall of Fame, and knowing that they have, certain events going on, and just even what the weather is, these things are super important. That hard work and that product I was giving them set me up now he was like, we love what you've been doing. We're going to be kind of revamping the station a bit, and we'd love for you to be on 6 days a week. What do you think? And I was like, sign me up. I'll take whatever. Like, again, like, it's just, some people, I think, they get into this radio industry and they have these massive dreams of being in New York and LA. And that was never my thing. Like, I wasn't in this to be Ryan Seacrest. I was in this to do what I love. And my simple goal was just to be here on the station I grew up listening to in Albany. And I had that job for like 10 years. So it's like, I lived my dream, and now my dream is simply doing radio, which I love, and having that flexibility, which I also now have. And it's weird the way it's worked out, because now I'm going to be doing 6 stations pretty much daily, 9 of them total in 9 different cities, between, weekend stuff and fill-ins. And, I coach the voice acting classes and whatever else I feel like doing, so my days are filled, and it's all the stuff that I enjoy, which is like most important. I think not everybody gets to live that life. So I'm glad that I'm able to, sit here and be able to do that.
And I appreciate you sharing your story, because that just motivates me. And even though I'm on a small radio station right now in Georgia, they gave me an opportunity, and it's baby steps. And I'm hoping eventually I can sort of similarly do what you're doing as well, with getting my show on other radio stations at some point. And one thing I've learned about this industry, Marissa, is connections are huge.
Networking is the most important thing. And the way you've got to look at it too is, don't look at it as networking and like, oh, this is work. Like, I think that was one of the most important things, not just in the last, almost 20 years of doing this, but especially in the last few years. And with all of the weird stuff that's been happening in the world, I've never treated these working relationships as working relationships. These are friendships. This is radio is a family, so
Yes.
It's like when we were in the heart of COVID, it's like I was just checking in on people. I wasn't expecting them to have any work for me. I knew they didn't have any work. I didn't care. I cared about them. I wanted them to be okay, not just like, physically healthy, but mentally healthy, because that was very important. And, I still check on people. I mean, like that, like, if you're not caring, if you're only looking for a job, then you're treating that relationship wrong. because then it's a selfish relationship. Don't only go to somebody when they can help you, like go to them all the time and just check in, just say, hey, like, let them know what you're up to, ask what they're up to, like that's how these relationships form. And I'll tell you, like, everything that I've been doing, all these opportunities, it's because of those relationships. It's because of the care I've given them. Not only is it the product that I'm providing, but it's not just the quality, it's the quality of care as well. And that's why it's like, I haven't really had a fight for work. I've just slowly let things kind of come to me in the last couple of years. And it's because of those relationships. So I'm glad that you see the importance.
Absolutely. And actually, I've made a lot of friendships. I had Chuck Swirsky of the Chicago Bulls give me his phone number, and I've had so many
Wow.
guests on, and I've become friends. And Marissa, I consider you a friend
Mhm.
as well. And it's just, this is a passion of mine, and I can tell, I can sense it out of you as well.
Yeah.
And this is something I want to do, and I'm still a work in progress and trying to keep improving and keep learning. And one thing I don't ever want to get into in this industry is to become complacent or have a big ego.
Right, right. And the thing, what you just said, is that you're still growing and you're still, trying to get better. And you should always be trying. Like, even when you think like you're at your peak, like you're at your best,
Yeah.
there's always ways to improve. I'm constantly listening back to things. I had a commercial that I did this morning, and I probably could have gone and just kept the first take because it wasn't bad, but I was over there going, I don't know. I feel like I lost a little bit of my smile somewhere. Like, and I went and I did it again, and then I listened back. And I'm like, it's almost there. So it's like, you've got to keep that care, because once the care in what you're doing is gone and you're just like kind of throwing it away, I mean, it's reflected in what is heard. So you've got to keep putting that care in.
And when my every show's done, I always like to listen to it again to see what I did okay, what I did good, or what I can do better for the next show.
Yeah, yeah. It's the only
And
way to know how you truly are doing, is to go back and listen. 100%.
and feedback's important too, even if it's not 100% positive. I kind of like to take feedback as well from people as well, and
Yeah, that
especially my
constructive
guests.
criticism is important.
Yes.
You don't want to like lean and like make it feel heavy on you, because listen, it's just somebody's opinion, right? Their opinion is not necessarily 100% factual. So you take what they say and you take it with a grain of salt, and you just keep moving forward. And in some cases, like, you can tweak certain things, but not everybody's going to be, correct with what they're stating either. So it's like, you've got to just take what you're given, and kind of work with every little bit to keep improving.
And also, too, another word I want to use for this industry is being flexible. I'm always flexible with my guest schedule. I work around it, and that's the only way you can succeed in
Yeah.
in this industry, is always being flexible. Because guests remember when you're flexible with them,
Well,
especially
yeah.
in the future.
Oh, of course. And that flexibility is going to make it so they'll want to do it again. The flexibility, research, the way that, like, how genuine you are, like all those things.
And the way I'm talking to you now is the way I'd be talking to you if we were at a basketball game or a coffee shop, etc.
Right.
Eric Smith and Chuck Swirsky gave me that from the Raptors and the Bulls about that. Just, you can make your points and notes on a piece of paper, but when you talk to your guests, talk to them like you're in a sporting arena or just outside having a conversation.
Yeah. You just got to be a human. That's it. There's nothing
Absolutely.
crazy about it.
All right, I was going to ask you this question as well, because my show's done remote from Ontario and it goes to Georgia. This technology, Marissa, is just amazing. But what's it been like doing it remotely, being self-employed, and what were some of the challenges?
I think at first the challenge was making sure that the quality audio wise was up to par. So that was very important. And making sure that I could kind of mentally do the juggle of work, because when I started doing all this stuff remote, it's like I was coaching or teaching full time. So I was doing that 5 or 6 days a week, with the first station I had on just on a weekend. So like, it was very easy to accommodate and make sure that happened. But then one by one, it's like I had stations adding me on during the week on top of a full time 9 to 5. So it's like, okay, how can I make this happen? Um, and it was just, it's a lot of organization. Like I can tell you right now, like this is a checklist, and it's like I have this for each day, so I know what work I need to get done, what is done, maybe what needs to still be edited, trying to keep it all straight. And I think like the biggest hurdle that I had to get through was building up the side work, the radio stuff, to the point where I was making enough money in that I could pull back on my full-time voice coaching. And that was a tough choice to make. It's you're taking a risk on yourself and your talent and your capabilities. And when I presented what I did to the voice coaching company, they were like ecstatic for me, which was the reaction I wasn't expecting it, but it was like, gladly accepted. And I said, like, I would love to stay on. I would love to do kind of like bookends of the week almost, and keep on for, a couple days. If I could do it all remote, that'd be fantastic. I'll keep doing your podcast, because I know it's hard to have somebody come in and just, blather about about voice, like the world of voiceover for, 10 minutes at a time. And they were thrilled for me. So, I ended up kind of doing that transition back in February, from going from full-time teaching to just part-time. And then the headache is trying to figure out financially what money is coming in and how much is really mine. Right. Because like a lot of this is done through like just contract work. So there's no taxes taken out. And that then becomes this kind of juggle. So like with my tax lady, my accountant, like this year specifically, like we decided, all right, I'm going to start paying ahead on my taxes, just to kind of make it so it's like, all right, there's already a nice chunk towards what I'm going to owe, and hopefully it's all covered. And so it's a lot of things being done differently than the normal, like you go into the office, you work 9 to 5, you come home, you're done. And that has been a lot of me trying to just like mentally almost retrain my brain how to work. Because, now all the audio and technology kinks are kind of worked out. It's now the finances and the fact that it's like, okay, when the recording is done, because everything's done a little bit in advance. It's not like wildly in advance, but it's done, the morning of or whatever. It's like, once my recording is done, the day is mine. It feels really weird to be in the like grocery store Wednesday in the middle of the day, doing errands when I'm on the radio in a few different markets. You know what I mean? And then it's like, I'm kind of like rolling the cart through Walmart feeling like I'm going to get fired and like I'm doing something wrong. But in reality, it's like, who's going to fire you, Marissa? Your work is done and you've got 13 jobs, like, so it like, that's, I think the biggest challenge is, it's like a variation of imposter syndrome, because I'm over here like, yeah, I'm a radio personality and yeah, I'm doing my thing. And then I still feel like I'm going to get fired, even though I'm getting nothing but like great feedback from everybody. So it's a mind twist, if anything, but it's worth it. I will say that, because it's given me the opportunity to be much more relaxed, more appreciated than ever, I would say, in my career. And it's given me opportunity to live a little bit too. Radio full time takes over your life. And this still takes over my life, but in a much different way.
Absolutely. I got to ask you this. I don't know if you have an agent or not, but I know with me, with the radio station and then getting sponsors for my show, I've learned now I've got to be a little bit more of a better business person than when I first started this a couple years ago.
Yeah, I don't have anybody. Honestly, it's been me from the beginning. Like I've had people ask if like I have like an LLC, like as a, your own business, and truly I probably should, but I haven't gotten that far yet. Like I know what I would call it and everything. But I just haven't taken that leap yet. And I think it was just because like, again, like it was only since February that I really stepped out to do all of this on my own. And it was just, again, it was a risk. It was a risk to take, and it's been worth it. And now it's just a matter of, taking each small step, right? Like you said, it's the small steps to get to
Yeah.
where you want to be. And that's the same thing for me as well. It's always small steps to get to the bigger goal. And what is the bigger goal? I mean, I'm not even quite sure what the bigger goal is for me just yet. There's always something to reach for, but right now it's just to have I think the consistency and kind of just allow myself to fully adjust before I take a giant leap into some other pool of this. But it seems like it's all coming together, and I'm just going to hope that that's the case. And as long as I keep manifesting it, it'll happen. So
it's like tomorrow night I'll be doing camera work for a hockey game. OHL is like a feeder league for the NHL, and my show will be on the radio at 8 o'clock at night. So I'm on the radio, but I'm doing camera work. So I can kind of relate that. When my shows are done remotely and kind of recorded ahead of time, so it's kind of a nice feeling to listen to my show and I'm actually doing camera work at the same time.
Yeah,
So
it is
yeah.
weird. Like I would listen, especially to the station that I was on in Detroit, just because I was on there so consistently and frequently. I would almost like it would be pulled up on my phone, and I just plug it in and hop in the car, and all of a sudden I would hear myself, and I'm like, it's it's like crazy to almost kind of forget, and then like kind of make yourself laugh in the moment, and then like it's a great way to also go back and kind of be able to listen and critique and like see what you can improve on, like we were talking about before. But it is funny. Like I've been in circumstances at my friend's bar, and like they'll just put one of the radio stations on, and I'm like mid conversation, and then all of a sudden on the radio, and I have to like physically stop speaking because it's hard to talk when you're talking. Like it's like one of those weird, I don't know, like it's like a inception, like a dream within a dream. Like it's in a world within a world for me. Being in two places or multiple places at once.
I'm still trying to get used to my voice because I know I've talked to other guests too, and when they first started in the industry, they hated the sound of their voice, but I think I'm sort of getting used to it.
It's the most common thing is that I talk to the students about this all the time. We have like a weird skewed view of how we sound. It takes the listening back over and over and over and over again to really grow the ear for who you are and what you truly sound like. So like I've listened to myself an embarrassing amount over almost 20 years. Like I think what you're hearing is what I'm hearing at this point. But when I started, my voice was up here, and I think it was just youth and being really green about what I was doing, and very just like still uneducated and inexperienced, and and just not comfortable either. I was super shy when I started, and like I still can be that way, but I'm much more relaxed in all of this. So it's like, all right, well, in the relaxation, my voice has deepened. Also the asthma and all the medication that comes along, all the prednisone over the years, that has helped deepen it. So but I think now it's just, yeah, it takes that adjustment period for you to get comfortable doing it and hearing it back, for sure.
When I first started this 4 years ago, I was only on Instagram Live and I was bad, but I kept at it. I kept at it. My one friend kept believing in me, gave me some advice, and then I finally got my first guest on, and then it's just 320 episodes later with 316 guests, and I've
Yeah.
had guests on from 5 different countries, and it's just
Wow.
amazing. But I tell people, when you start a podcast or whatever, it's a lot of work. People just think, oh, just put on your computer or whatever. But I like to do my research, my homework, and promoting this on social media is a full-time job as well. And booking guests is I love doing it, but it's a lot of work too.
Yeah. Nobody understands the hoops that you jump through to do a podcast, especially when it's just by yourself. Because I mean, I had mine that I was doing for, I started it during the pandemic, and I was doing it up until I want to say near the summer of 21, maybe. And it called Hello from Mars, which it's still out there. But like again, all this work that I started getting, like I had barely time to breathe, let alone try to, do a podcast, get my friends here to help, be guests, and then try to edit and then post about it. And like, there was just no way. And I would love to keep doing it. It was a lot of fun, but like they also take a bit to build and grow and have an audience, and and you have to have that consistency. And I was just not able to get that consistency going just because of how busy I was.
And I do two other shows along with this, and I have co-hosts, one for a CFL show and another one for a local news show. So I want to show the radio industry I'm not just Mr. Sports Guy.
Yeah,
I can talk about business, local stuff, as well as sports, and just trying to diversify
that's right.
myself, diverse, to make my guests diverse and my shows diverse. Do you have time for two quick questions,
Yeah,
and then
sure,
we'll
of
wrap it
course.
up?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, no problem. This one I wanted to ask you too, Marissa. Do you find doing radio remote and live stream is the future of broadcasting long term?
Um, yes and no. Like I I know there are probably some people that are in the industry that want to think that somebody like myself who's doing it in this way, it's like you're part of the problem, because live and local has always been the 1-2 punch, right? That's what makes radio successful, is when you have somebody that is right there, that is live, that knows the community, that can be within the community and be active in it. And I think that is something that still needs to thrive. But I also think that what this has shown us in the last couple of years, voice tracking prior to 2020, I believe in so many ways was treated as a throwaway for a lot of the radio personalities. It's like they wouldn't put the same amount of effort in voice tracking as they would if they were live. And I understand that, but I also think that's where things got a little sloppy, and that's where we started losing listenership, because the care was no longer there. So what I think is the difference is in can this be the direction that a lot of radio starts to move in? I think yes, it can be for certain aspects of on the air, daytime wise, day part wise is what I should say. It needs to have the care. Like the moment I started doing any of this, I was being as live and as local sounding as I could be. It's like I know more about what's happening in Boston. I know more about what's happening in Wilmington, North Carolina, Syracuse, Lexington, Kentucky, Burlington, Vermont, than I even know what's happening in Albany. And the reason is every single time I put this microphone on in this studio, and depending on whatever market it is, I have everything pulled up in front of me. And I mean, up to the point where I'm talking about road closures, I'm talking about grand openings of things, I'm talking about the festivals that are happening that weekend. And you can be a part of any of those communities if you do it right. You've got to put the care in, and I think that's the biggest difference. So I don't want it to be the full-on future of broadcasting, but I do think that it can be a major part. It can be like a 50-50 almost if it's done correctly, if that makes sense.
Yes, and Chuck Swirsky of the Bulls told me this too. I might not be the most talented broadcaster, Chris, but nobody in the NBA will outwork me. And he said homework and preparation is huge.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even though my show's on a small radio station and I'm only on 19 platforms, I take care. I do my best on every show because I care, and I want my guests to enjoy coming on here, and I want to have a good storytelling show. And Marissa, I really appreciate you coming on today. I think I've kept you over 30 minutes, but I wanted to ask you this one quick question.
Sure.
We'll wrap it up. What is a fun fact about yourself that nobody knows about? A fun fact about yourself.
Fun fact that nobody knows. I mean, somebody probably knows everything, right? God, fun fact. God, I don't even know. I play guitar a little bit. I write music a little bit. That was actually something I thought about, like going to Nashville to try to pursue songwriting at one point in between radio jobs. I had a whole week planned that I was going to go to Nashville, try to get like into a radio station there and try to like slither that, just because I had so much positive feedback about my songwriting. But, the more I look at that industry as a whole, like, I mean, it is just very, very, like, if I think radio can be challenging, I mean, the songwriting community, I mean, that is just, that is real tough. But I always use that as an outlet for like, therapeutic purposes. anything other than that, I mean, if you follow me on like Instagram or Facebook, like you see kind of everything that I've got going on. So just Marissa on the radio. But I'm currently doing a little do-it-yourself project, creating a little home gym space. And we love the Barbie movie around here. So it is a Barbie gym. I mean,
I
hot
saw
pink.
it.
Yeah, you saw it. I
saw it.
know.
Yes.
And like I'm full on in the swing of doing all the painting and stuff. I had to do the insulation. I had to do the sheetrock and the taping. And I'm not going to say that it's perfect by any means, but for one girl, doing all the work and then I only had like a 3-month stint that I worked at Lowe's. I think for my do-it-yourself project, I think it's coming along pretty nicely. So
Absolutely. By the way, I have no musical skills, and my I was gonna say I got no musical skills because I did karaoke once in New York and I emptied out the bar. And as for doing it yourself, that's something I need to work on. I'm not Mr. Two Time or
not too
Home
handy.
Improvement, Mr. Home
I'm not going to
Improvement.
say I am either. I keep following the YouTube videos and just hoping for the best, man.
What would we do without Google and YouTube nowadays?
I don't know. Get lost a lot. I'll tell you that.
And what time are you on the air this afternoon, Marissa, for my audience if they want to listen to you online?
God, I mean, a lot of them I do middays. So, either 9 to 2 or 10 to 3. I think I'll be on a classic rock station based out of Cape Girardeau, Missouri. That is from 7 to 11 tonight. But depending on where you are, I know for me, I think listening wise, it's like 8 to midnight. But there's like an hour time difference. But everything of where anybody can hear me, and just like times and apps and whatever, I've got everything listed right at my Facebook. So just Marissa on the radio. And feel free to follow, DM, whatever, I'm just a little message away.
I have it on my ticker here as well. And I'm going to put you on the spot where I wrap this up. Thursday night football, Lions and Packers. Who do you see winning? And Sunday, you got the Patriots and the Cowboys.
I'm gonna say, let's see. Tell me again, who's tonight?
Tonight is the Lions and Packers for Lambeau Field.
Just because I was on in Detroit 7 days a week, let's go Lions. They had a lot of promise last year, so I'm just kind of hoping for the best for them. I would love to say the Pats, but I'm gonna go Cowboys on Sunday. I just feel like Pats they've been having some messy stuff going on, but I know the Cowboys have been too. So I don't know. That's a toss up, man.
I'm hoping that game ends up in a tie. I'm a Philadelphia Eagles fan, 3-0. So, but I'm going to tell you this, Marissa, I'm going to let you go. But hey, I want to say thank you so much for coming on my show again, my 320th episode. And you have an open invite to come back on again. And what I'll do is I'll send you audio and video. I'll link to our episode later this afternoon. And I wish you continued success. And I might be down in your area this year for a National Lacrosse League game as well.
All right, well, hit me up if you're in town. All right, we'll go have a drink.
Deal. Sounds like a plan to me. But Marissa, thank you so much for coming on, and I hope you have a great afternoon.
You too, man. Anytime. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. All right, guys, that was Marissa Lanchak. She is a radio personality and host. She's out of Albany, New York. She was in Boston last year, but she's out of Albany, New York, and she's on 6 stations right now. The Mix 104.1 FM in Boston, 92.1 FM, The Wolf, The Dude, Hits 106.3, Mix 94.1 in Canton, Ohio, and she's also on 107.7 Now FM in Albany, Georgia, and you can follow her on Instagram. She's on Instagram at Marissa on the Radio on Instagram, and she's also on Twitter at Marissa Radio, and she's on Facebook. Marissa is on Facebook as Marissa on the Air as well. And I have a viewer comment. Ray, thank you for coming on. Is your guest on Instagram? Yes, Ray. She is on Instagram at Marissa on the Radio if you'd like to follow her. And yeah, thank you for watching, Ray. I really appreciate that. Before we wrap this up, guys, I'm going to show you a little clip of my interview with former Major League Baseball player and now Major League Baseball scout with the Boston Red Sox. His name is Josh Ackerman, and I did this at Salem Field last week in Buffalo, New York. I'm here reporting from Salem Field here in downtown. Tonight's Buffalo Bison's game against the Norfolk Tides, the top farm team of the Baltimore Orioles. And I have a special guest here, and I'm going to bring him on right. Can you just tell us your name, sir?
Hey, Chris, thank you very much for having me. My name is Josh Ackerman, a scout with the Red Sox. I just got done playing almost 9 years, all the way up to AAA for both Boston and Philadelphia. First year scouting, learning so much, and I'm excited to continue to go and learn.
Josh, how much of an adjustment was it going from a player to now a scout for the Boston Red Sox? And just quick thoughts on the Boston Red Sox organization and your time there so far.
It was an interesting transition. I definitely felt it felt different, not being at the field. My first thing was, I'm not at the field all day anymore. It's not the 12, 13-hour days that, really goes into it, and it's part of the grind. Now looking at it from the other side of the field, you're looking at these young players out there. They have all the tools in the world, and it's, just from the other side to get a look at them and get a chance to project. It's certainly interesting, and honestly, from this side of the game, Boston has been unbelievable with their development with me as a scout. I remember looking back in February when I started and seeing, my earlier reports then and how they look now. It's they've certainly come a long way. Thankful for all the who I've had and continue to help me develop. And yeah, it's been pretty fun, and really great thanks to them. They've made it a lot easier.
Last question, Josh. Who are some players to look out for tonight on the Tides and the Buffalo Bisons? And where can my audience find you on social media?
Yeah, so my both Instagram and Twitter, or I guess X, they changed the name. It's at Josh_Ock, OCK. And I mean, both these teams have a good amount of prospects on them. Obviously, number one prospect in all of baseball being Jackson Holliday, Colby Mayo, this center fielder Cowser, for Buffalo, Lukes. Just young talent all over the field tonight. It's pretty fun to watch. Excited to get a chance to see a little bit more of these guys and get a chance to.
Unfortunately, guys, I apologize. The interview, I ran out of memory and space on my phone, so I will have Josh Ackerman, a Major League Baseball scout for the Boston Red Sox, on Live with CDP Sports Talk, hopefully in the next month. Josh is a good guy. He did play from Philadelphia and Boston, and now he's a scout for the Red Sox. So that was done last week at Salem Field in Buffalo, and I want to say thank you to the Buffalo Bison's organization for this past year and letting me cover the team as a media member. And I have some more live interviews I will be airing next week from my work in Buffalo at Salem Field as well. And speaking of Major League Baseball, you got the Blue Jays and Yankees on tonight, the Tigers and Royals on. This is the last week for the Detroit Tigers as they've been long eliminated, and Miguel Cabrera, this is his final few games with the Detroit Tigers in a Hall of Fame career. And Miggy is one of the greatest Detroit Tigers of all time, and I expect a statue and his number to be retired at Comerica Park soon as well. Just to let you guys know, my next live with CDP Sports Talk as of now, sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet and on WQEE 99.1 FM, weeknights at 8 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be Thursday, October 5th at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. My guest name is Victoria Makenjaola. Makenjaola. I'm going to try to pronounce that better for next week. She is a podcast host and a mental health advocate out of the Dallas, Texas area. So next Thursday, October 5th at 12:30, Victoria Makenjaola as my guest as well. And I hope you guys can tune into that as well. And also, guys, I hope you can check my Argo Bounce live audio show last night with Nick Small, my co-host, and our special guest, CFL Hall of Fame quarterback Damon Allen as well. And since we were talking football before we wrap this up, my CFL picks for the Week 17 games here in Canada, I've got Winnipeg over Toronto, I've got BC over Saskatchewan, Montreal over Ottawa, and the Hamilton Tiger Cats defeating Calgary. They have 2 games on Friday night and 2 on Saturday as well. Speaking of football, we'll talk some NFL. Thursday night football tonight, the Detroit Lions 2-1 against the Green Bay Packers 2-1. The Packers are coming off a 18-17 miracle comeback against the Saints at Lambeau Field, being down 17-0 in the fourth quarter. I really think the Detroit Lions right now are a better football team than the Packers, and I'm going to pick Detroit winning this game tonight 23-20. I have the Lions winning by 3 points, 23-20, and I'm looking forward to the Sunday games. You got Washington Commanders and Philadelphia Eagles at 1 o'clock. I think the Eagles should win that game handily. The game of the week to me should be the prime time game, not the Chiefs and Jets. The Miami Dolphins 3-0 against Buffalo Bills 2-1. AFC hated rivals. The Miami Dolphins coming off a 70-20 win over Denver. Buffalo coming off a 37-3 win over Washington. So right now, I'm looking forward to that game Sunday, as well as Philadelphia, Washington. But the Buffalo-Miami game, I can see the scoring. I think that scoring, I could see Miami winning 41-34. I don't expect it to be a defensive battle. And I think what might be the difference in this game between Miami and Buffalo is if Josh Allen plays hero ball or he plays smart ball. If Josh Allen plays the way he's capable of, Buffalo has a chance to win this game. But if he plays hero ball and throws interceptions, fumbles the ball, Miami should win this game. But I'm still going with the Dolphins to beat Buffalo at Orchard Park 41-34 as well. All right, guys, and I'm going to wrap this up in a few minutes. Live with CDP Sports Talk, a weekly sports and entertainment talk show hosted by yours truly, Chris Pame. Again, is on weeknights from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern on WQEE 99.1 FM, the key, the home of Southern talk. The home of Southern sports and talk, the heartbeat of Atlanta. The radio station's website, if you want to listen to it, is on WQEEFM.radio12345.com as well. And I wanted to give a shout out today to my friend Wayne McFarland. Wayne McFarland off of LinkedIn. He is the editor and publisher of the monthly magazine called the Digital Briefing Magazine. So check him out on LinkedIn, Wayne McFarland, and his website is thedigitalbriefingmagazine.com. I want to say thank you, Wayne, for having you advertise my show on your magazine once a month as well, and I appreciate your friendship as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk is live streamed on these platforms on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter /X, Twitch, and LinkedIn. And I want to say thank you, everybody, today for watching this live streamed episode with radio personality Marissa Lanchak from Albany, New York as well. You can also follow me on my website, beacons.ai/Christy Pame. All my previous episodes and all my digital content is on beacons.ai/Christy Pame. Live with CDP Sports Talk is sponsored by Barry Cullen Chevrolet Dealership at 905 Woodlawn Road West in the Guelph Auto Mall. Check out barrycullen.com for the newest selection of new and pre-owned GM vehicles, or give them a call at 519-824-0210. or you can email them at info@barrycullen.com as well. And I'm always looking for new sponsors. So if you're a local business or you're a business that's outside of the Guelph area, I'm always looking to get more sponsors for Live with CDP Sports Talk, or the Argo Bounce Live audio show, and the Small Talk podcast show, which will return, I believe, on Saturday, October 7th as well. You can also follow me on TikTok at Live with CDP. That's at Live with CDP on TikTok. I post a lot of content there as well. StreamYard is the official live stream provider of Live with CDP Sports Talk. If you're into webinars or podcasting such as myself, check out StreamYard.com as well. Live with CDP Sports Talk, the audio version is available on these platforms: iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify for podcasters, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Spotify, Castbox, LinkedIn, Pandora, and Tuned In, and WQEE 99.1 FM, weeknights at 8 o'clock. Finally, you can email me or text Live with CDP Sports Talk at cpome19@gmail.com, or you can text the show at 519-820-7188 if you have comments, questions, or suggestions. Any kind of feedback would be greatly appreciated as well. And you can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also my YouTube channel. I have 226 subscribers, and if you'd like to subscribe, hit the subscribe notification and the like notification as well. And I do a lot of YouTube short videos as well on there. And I'm also on LinkedIn if you wish to follow me on LinkedIn as well. And that's about it, guys. I am looking forward to the weekend. We got NFL going on, we got the CFL going on, and we got college football going on. And I'm really looking forward to a good Thursday night game between the Lions and the Packers. And again, I've got the Lions winning 23-20 over the Packers. And that's about it. I want to say thank you to my guest, Marissa Lanchak, for coming on my show for a second time. And make sure you check her out again on her social media pages before we leave. You can check Marissa out on Twitter at Marissa Radio in cap locks, or on Instagram at Marissa on the radio in cap locks as well. And again, she's on 6 stations in 6 different cities. So she's a good person and she's good at what she does. She's also a voiceover artist and she has her own podcast shows too. Just type in her name and her podcast show will come up there as well. That's about it, guys. Thank you, everybody. I've had a great week of shows with Lauren Schaff, Lisa Cole, Damon Allen came on the Argo Bounce Live audio show last night. Thank you to the CFL Hall of Fame quarterback and legend Damon Allen. And again, thank you to Marissa Lanchak, radio personality out of Albany, New York, for coming on today as well. So I hope everybody has a great day, great evening. Enjoy Major League Baseball and NFL, CFL, college football. It's a great time of the year for sports, including the return of the National Hockey League preseason. And the OHL opens up this weekend as well. And I will be at the Sleeman Center in Guelph on Friday night to do some camera work for Rogers TV for the Guelph Storm's 32nd year in the league, home opener against the Owen Sound Attack. So that game is on 7:30 on Rogers TV, and I will be doing the handheld camera for that game as well. So, all right, everybody, have a great afternoon, great weekend, and we'll see you next week for Live CDP Sports Talk, brought to you by Barry Cullen Chevrolet here in Guelph, and weeknights at 8 on WQEE 99.1 FM in Metro Atlanta.